Hello and welcome to the Stephen Mendes channel and 21st century music in particular. Today we have with us the FA-06, the Roland FA-06, and we're attempting to discover for ourselves what comes from the MIDI out, the DIN MIDI out at the back, because it's not clear in the textbook. Obviously there's something there about putting it into DAW mode to use it to control a DAW. But suppose you just want to control a module or something else. What can we really do in using it as a general purpose controller? So what we have here, we have an old QX5 MIDI recorder, as you can see on the top rack, and below we have our trusty FA-06. So we're going to play the FA-06 in normal mode and see what responds and what gives various MIDI comes out for the various knobs. And then we're going to specifically put it in DAW control, and we're going to show you what you need to do to be able to get what you want to happen. So thanks again for watching, and we do hope you learn something. Okay guys, here's what I discovered. When we're in normal play mode and select is put to the top row, we get the cutoff, resonance, attack, release, pan, pot, and volume coming out on 74, 71, 73, 72, 10, and 7 controller numbers, as would be expected. And when we move the select down to assign 1 to 6, it's coming out as controller 1 after touch common, 11, 65, 5 and 91 controller numbers, but I believe that can be changed in the software. And when the select is on the equalizer, nothing comes out at all, or when it's down at the bottom on the effects, compressor, tone, chorus, reverb and effects, nothing comes out at all. Now the two buttons S1 and S2, when we're in normal mode, that is playing the keyboard in normal mode as opposed to in DAW control mode, S1 comes out at controller number 1 and S2 comes out at controller number 65, and they're just momentary switching between 0 and 127 MIDI values. But I believe that may be able to be changed as well. In normal operating mode, if we push the transport buttons, nothing comes out of the MIDI at all. And if we push the sampler buttons, we get channel 16, which can be changed in software. That's the default channel for the sampler buttons. And starting at 1 and going up to 16, we start from note C1 and come up. So the 16 sampler buttons just behave as ordinary notes. They send note MIDI messages starting at C1 and working their way up into the second octave as normal sequential semitone values. For finer control of your external gear, you may want to use the DAW control. When we press the DAW control button, it lights, and we see that the bottom half of our sampler buttons have now turned green. Now what happens when you push these buttons will depend to some extent on what you have as your control map. I couldn't get anything to come out of them at all when I had it on Sonar, but when I put it on user, I was able to program whatever I wanted, any controller number, and either momentary or latched to be the operating mode for any of the 8 green buttons in the sampler section. So they don't function in the sampler way when you're in the DAW control mode. You have to switch your screen here to user, and then you see that you have your user pads lighting up down there, and you can make them whatever controller number you want, and whether you want them momentary or latching. Now I found that in the user mode our transport controls transmitted the normal things you would expect. Stop was able to stop my external sequencer. Play was able to put it in play, and rewind was able to put it in rewind. I didn't seem to get too much joy with the forward and backward buttons, and definitely not the record. It didn't put my system into the record mode, but maybe that's just a little playing around with. But they're obviously not. They're obviously the standard control buttons, and they will come out under different MIDI information. Now, to set your channel for your pads, your sampler pads, as well as your knobs, as well as your keyboard, you have to switch to the controller. Let me go up here now to the top. You have to switch to the controller section, and you'll see there where it says TX channel. You can dial in whatever TX channel you want, transmit channel there, and you can set your S1, S2 and your knobs to whatever you want them to have, whatever continuous controller value, or in the case of your knobs you can set them to the momentary or the latching, as you can see. And your sound modify knobs are only the 6 knobs. The select light goes off. There's no possibility of selecting anything, and the 6 knobs will have whatever controller numbers you set them to in your controller tab of the DAW. Your S1 and S2 switches behave as you would expect. They have a default value of 80 and 81, and you can change that once again in your controller tab. Now, after having set up whatever you want on your controller numbers for your knobs, your S1, S2, and the 8 buttons of your sampler pad, you can press the right button, and it comes up there, as you can see, DAW controller right. You can say OK or cancel, and if you say OK, it will save your control map and your settings in your DAW page for the buttons into the system settings. So you can save it along with the system. It will rewrite the system, and then when you turn off the power and turn it back on, it will have your setup. If you neglect to save it, it will not be saved. Now, you can set up different ones for control 1 to 6. It has 6 possible control. Let me just cancel this and show you that. If we go up here to the control, there you go. As we rotate the control, you have actually, no, it's 16 possible control settings, and you can set each one differently, and they will all be saved in the system settings. So set them all up for your different control setups, and then press the right, and all 16 will be saved at one go with the system settings. Thanks for watching, and we hope you found this very informative and helpful. Please send us your questions, comments, and we do look forward to your interaction with us on the 21st Century Music page on Facebook. In the meantime, do have a wonderful day and keep viewing the Stephen Mendes channel. Thank you. See you next time.